presentation this evening.
Yeah. All right, we'll get going with the first meeting of the IT subcommittee of this term. And we'll try to get the meeting over with before Councillor Drews arrives. Beginning with declarations of interest. None. Confirmation of minutes. So that's carried?
Carried.
Okay. Then, Information Technology Subcommittee Terms of Reference, item number 1. So we have a motion to amend the terms of reference, moved by Councillor Sutz. And so you want to introduce that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to take a moment, first of all, to wish our colleague Jeff a speedy recovery. My thoughts are with him and his family, and also my thoughts are with the families of the pedestrian that was struck last night in Canada and unfortunately passed away. Of course, road safety is of utmost importance in our city, and I extend my sincere condolences. I was chatting before the meeting started. Today's an exciting day in the city and for Canada as well, as the federal government is set to announce strong support for our AV cluster and technologies here in the city, and announcing a $40 million investment which will lead to the creation of 800 jobs at Blackberry QNX. With that, Smart City 2.0 and Ottawa's Smart City Strategy was adopted by Council in November 2017 and is centered on 3 goals: the goals of achieving a connected city, a smart economy, and an innovative government. Each of these goals entails corresponding goals, initiatives, and investments that support our objectives to make Ottawa the smartest city possible. A key feature to smart cities is that they create efficiency. Smart cities can improve the efficiency of city services by eliminating redundancies, finding ways to save money, and streamlining staff responsibilities. A major way that this is achieved is by leveraging the vast amounts of data that the city collects from residents, from devices, and from assets that are processed and is then used to analyze and monitor things like traffic, transportation systems, our libraries, the list goes on and on. The Smart City concept integrates the information and communications technology, which has traditionally been the focus of this committee, with various physical devices connected to the network to optimize efficiencies. I believe both our IT operations and the work that the Service Innovation Group is doing with respect to the Smart City strategy would be more efficient if they both reported to this committee and we took a more focused and cohesive approach to how we looked at it and how we governed it. Having worked with Councillor Leeper, the Mayor's team, various colleagues around the table, and city staff, including Donna Gray from the city's innovation team, I believe strongly that by expanding the scope of this committee and the important work that is happening within service innovation around the Smart City initiatives, aligning with the IT initiatives, would get the attention that it deserves. And with that, I will read the motion. Whereas the City of Ottawa is committed to advancing Smart City 2.0, Ottawa's Smart City Strategy, as adopted by Council in November 2017, and whereas Smart City 2.0 is centered on 3 goals of achieving a connected city, a smart economy, and an innovative government, with corresponding goals, initiatives, and investments that will work to make Ottawa a smarter city than it is today. And whereas responsibility for the Smart City Strategy resides within the Service Innovation and Performance Department, which currently reports on its activities through the Finance and Economic Development Committee. Whereas the Information Technology Subcommittee has an ongoing mandate to investigate information technology products and services that provide improved access to city services by the public, better communication with the public, and increased accountability to the public while protecting privacy, as well as enhancing management and oversight at the City of Ottawa in congruence with the city's fiscal framework. Whereas the Information Technology Subcommittee is a key forum for discussion of all the corporation's information technology initiatives, with regular updates and reports from the General Manager of Service Innovation and Performance and the Chief Information Officer. Therefore, be it resolved that the Information Technology Subcommittee's mandate be amended to include Smart City Strategy in a revised mandate as follows. The Information Technology Subcommittee has an ongoing mandate to investigate information technology products and services, including initiatives that stem from the Smart City Strategy to provide improved access to city services by the public, enhance connectivity throughout the city, and an economy that is strengthened by leveraging available and emerging technologies and products.
All right, thank you. First of all, just if there are any questions about the motion, and then we'll get to delegation. No? Okay. Well, I have one to Ms. Gray. How is this consistent with the council motion to remove smart cities from the jurisdiction of this committee? Which I didn't support, by the way, but I want to know how this could be consistent with that.
Mr. Chair, this motion would adapt and revise your terms of reference, and that would rise to FEDCO, where the originating motion around a smart city was considered, and then the adoption and the approval of that would be the final decision on the smart city strategy.
That eventually goes to council.
That's correct.
All right. Okay, since we have no questions from committee, then we will go to delegation. Matthew Darwin.
Thank you, Chair, councillors. Pleasure to be here to talk to you this morning. The terms of reference of the committee, by the way, first I want to support Councillor Sudd's motion to expand the scope of this committee. I think the service innovation and IT are very linked with each other, so this is an excellent motion. The terms of reference of the committee say that the recommendations are to direct IT for the use of new technologies. I think we all know that the pace of change and new technology is ever increasing. So I'm just wondering if the committee would consider bringing in outside experts, either staff members from the community or from industry, to either sit on the committee, expand the committee to have such experts, or at least have them come from time to time to present on topics of innovation in the IT industry. Also, the terms of reference for this committee indicate the receipt of quarterly reports. Quarterly reports are good. I hope the committee meets often enough to actually receive these reports in a timely fashion, and that they also include the details from the Service and Innovation Department and not just the IT department. Lastly, on the terms of reference, smart cities is great, but I didn't hear anything about open data specifically. In that, it's not. Councillor Sudd's motion talked about use of data, but it didn't say specifically about open data. I just want to remind the committee that Bike Ottawa did a fantastic job on building some cycling maps, and that was relying on the City of Ottawa's open data in order to build that. And I know the Bike Ottawa committee has idea is to build additional things for the community, but those depend on more data coming from the city, like plowing routes and that kind of thing. So, should the terms of open data be highlighted in the terms of reference for this committee? That's really my question. Thank you.
All right, well, on that, I think open data is a topic that is kind of cascading down from this. And the question of open data is something that members of the public may have opinions on. So that will have to be discussed at a future meeting. But this actually opens the door for it.
Okay, thank you.
So on the terms of reference, no discussion? Okay, on the motion first. Carried. On terms of reference as amended? Carried. All right. So next is the draft operating capital budget for IT subcommittee.
Thank you, Chair and committee members, for allowing us to present the draft budget for ITS 2019. As acting CIO, I'd like to give assurance to the committee that our mandate remains the same. We are committed to continue to deliver on the City of Ottawa's business priorities. I am both proud and pleased to take up the torch and build on the momentum that we've created over the last 2.5 years. In 2019, we want to continue to deliver in a way that best utilizes the resources we manage, both the talent and the systems. With our 2019 planning completed to date, we believe we have a plan that will deliver the most value we can generate from the budgets assigned to us, and that the work will be done in the most secure manner. So I'd like to talk a little bit about ITS by the numbers. ITS is a corporate resource that is of huge strategic importance for the City of Ottawa. The various functions in the organizations, our clients, rely upon ITS to leverage technology to support their business service delivery. Our staff expect, they rely, that their mobile phones work, that their laptops work, that they get their email, that their applications are up all the time, that the data is secure, and if there is an issue, that they have the support from our team to help them. Some of the numbers that we're highlighting from the ITS as the numbers is that we have 1,400 servers with 550 databases to support all of our applications. We have over 5,000 Jabber users and 86 video-enabled boardrooms to help staff be connective and collaborative. We have almost 13,000 computers, of which we recycle 1,700 annually. There are over 18,000 email accounts that we manage. We have 400 linked facilities that include administrative offices, community centers, depots, etc. There are also 4,000 mobile phones that we also support. As part of the security as well, if you look at some of the security stats, in order to secure our IT environment, the City of Ottawa has adopted an in-depth defense approach using layers of security, and we rely on both internal and external expertise. Our partnership with the cybersecurity industry allows us to have much advanced notice as possible on emerging cyber trends. This, along with the leading edge tools and internal safeguard processes, help us monitor and quarantine any cybersecurity attempts towards the City of Ottawa technology systems. In just Q4 of 2018, we monitored over 28 billion parameter log events for malicious activities. We identified and blocked access to 443,000 malicious websites. We've also blocked 6.8 million spam messages. Now, as hard as we work, they work even harder sometimes, and we've created a task force that's going to improve how we handle spam and phishing messages. And over the next few days, weeks, we're going to be going to our council members as well as general managers to kind of give a little bit of a refresher on some of these messages that happen. We're also implementing in 2019 a corporate-wide mandatory cyber security awareness training campaign for all users at the city. And as I mentioned, when people have an issue, they expect people to help them. Our frontline services handled 74,000 service desk requests last year. We had 10,500 walk-in clients. That was an increase of 3,000. So that indicates to us that they like our service and appreciate that in-person view. And we also had 4,200 site support requests that we completed last year. Our clients, this next slide is the systems that we have. Our clients rely upon ITS to leverage technology to support their business service delivery with the use of key enterprise platforms like Lagin, SAP, Dynamics, BIMS. In IT, we focus our approach to be nimble in our delivery, to focus on the task, to be value-driven, and client-centric. Our management team is a real true team. We support each other in order to demonstrate our readiness to embrace these challenges. And we want to continue to improve how we lead and validate what we've already built. So in 2018, for our BIMs, we had 2,000 active users with over 640,000 records that were created. In Lagin, 347 cases were processed. In SAP, we generated 504,000 pay statements. Maximo, 385,000 work orders. Aquasys, 242 billing accounts that are managed. And in MAP, 8,700 building permits were issued. So this is all done by our RT staff in 2018, and we're very proud of some of the work that we accomplished. So how do we manage all of this work? There are many ways to manage multi-year operational plans. IT looked at highly successful firms with a technology focus, such as Google and Amazon, to discover their planning frameworks. Many shared the same planning and goal-setting methodology called Objectives and Key Results, or OKRs. In ITS, we want to stand out as a modern technology shop that thinks and behaves like the highly competitive external tech sector. OKRs are a breakdown of higher-level objectives to smaller ones, where each level down is a bit more granular and more time restricted. So within ITS, we have very high-level objectives that we want to achieve as a department. Those objectives are then brought down to the branch level for all of my 7 managers. And underneath there, we have more specific items. So what that really engages our staff to know that the work that they're doing ties into their branch, which ties into the department. And all the work that we take in, we try to line it up in that fashion. So in 2018, we want to highlight some of our accomplishments. With regards to our platforms, Office 365. As work becomes more open and distributed, people need the right tools to stay connected, to do their jobs better, and to promote engagement. Office 365 will provide the devices, applications, and systems that will make work can empower workers to think for themselves and collaborate in new ways. We're also hoping that Office 365 enables the digital service strategy and the development of the corporate accommodation strategy, including supporting a mobile workforce. We also had the Azure setup. This is a cloud computing platform that was designed by Microsoft to successfully build and deploy and manage applications and services in the cloud. And we're hoping to build on that into 2019. We also do the work of the data center upgrades. In 2018, some of the items that were really important for us to complete were removing old power and network cables, upgrading and monitoring of the temperature and humidity sensors of all the data centers, adding new power plugs connected to the power generators in DC4. In addition, such as the SAP HANA upgrade, this was a great example of our people leading Our people implementing the latest database for SAP to help leverage the next generation of SAP applications such as SuccessFactors, Ariba, and S/4HANA. We've got a lot of kudos from SAP where they were actually very impressed that we did not open one ticket for them to resolve an issue. We were able to handle it internally. We've also done a lot of multiple application upgrades throughout the city in 2018. We did a Hedgehog upgrade for our Ottawa Public Health clients. We did Checkmaster for client services. We also did M5 for our fleet. And we're working on replacing Aquasys for our finance and revenue colleagues. So we have our platforms, but we also have all of our processes and our people. And they're really all intertwined. So it's hard to talk about one without going into the other one. But our processes that we refined in 2018 was our OKR planning framework. This allowed us to have a clear path, a plan in place that helped us with our spending plan. We also came up with our platform alignment policy, where we wanted to kind of look what we have before we went out and bought new technology solutions, because that would allow us to have that technology in-house so that we can support future applications for the city. We created an IT risk register, which helps us identify issues for future projects as we create and expand solutions. We had a cloud framework that we designed. Our policy within the city IT is a cloud smart policy, not necessarily a cloud first policy, but we want to look at what makes sense for us. We want to take a look at the cost. We want to take a look at the requirement. We want to also take a look at the security factors before we go to cloud solutions. Another thing that we really focused in 2018, come up with a plan that we're going to action into 2019, is automation. We want to exercise strategic thinking on a daily basis, not just from the management team, but all of our team, and then have that continuous improvement ongoing that we can kind of relay it to our clients. We should be able to be comfortable with the ideas of regular refinements to our service delivery, improve them, automate them, work with our clients to see if we can help automate some of their manual processes that they have as well. And the most important thing that we did in 2018 was focus on our people. We find training is an investment in our staff. And what we did on that is we continued our training on Pluralsight, and there's a separate slide on that, and I'll provide more details for that. But we also provided training on the platforms that I talked about, such as Azure, SAP, Dynamics. And we created new job descriptions where we realized that we may not have all the skills, so we need to continuously upgrade our job descriptions. And we worked with our HR colleagues, and they were absolutely terrific in 2018 to help us create these new job descriptions. And obviously, some things don't follow with the letter P, so we had to go with the letter O for other notables. But we worked on the election program in 2018. We did a public Wi-Fi pilot for 2 locations at Constellation, 2nd floor at Walter Baker. We did a city tech show that we're also planning to do one again into 2019. We had a Microsoft agreement where we're looking at a partnership relationship rather than a transactional relationship. Working with Microsoft, we are one of 30 companies across the world that are part of their first wave program. In general, this program is they bring the money, we bring the resources, and they're going to help us with the rollout of Office 365 and with some of the change management that we're going to face as we roll out to all of our users in late Q2 of 2019. We also worked with SAP to kind of have a better working relationship with them. We want to have that partnership relationship because we want to invest more with some of their solutions that they have with regards to procurement, HR, as well as finance. We also came with a proof of concept where the City of Ottawa is committed to working with the best, employing a strategic direction when partnering with vendors. Ottawa employs, the City of Ottawa, a proof of concept approach, requesting that vendors demonstrate usability and the value of the technology solution to be implemented and evaluated by the IT team over a set of months, and then we follow the procurement process. We find that it's a good opportunity for us to see if it's the right fit as part of the solution. Into 2019, as I mentioned, we want to continue the momentum. The look and feel of our work plan is very similar to a very successful 2018. We want to build upon that into 2019. Some of the highlights that we're looking at is with regards to some of the platforms. We have corporate rollouts that are scheduled to go out in 2019, such as Office 365, SharePoint as a replacement of BIMS. We're looking at Teams, expanding that solution for more collaborative tools among clients at the City of Ottawa. We also have solution replacements. Aquasys is going to be happening soon. We're looking at our class solution. We're also looking at replacing some of our cloud-based call center solutions into 2019. Not only are we looking at replacements, but we're bringing in some brand new platforms such as Ariba for supply. We're looking at something called Success Factors as part of our cloud-based human capital solutions. We're also looking at artificial intelligence, machine learning in 2019. Some of the processes we wanted to continue to build upon that will help us be successful in 2019. We want to look at IT as a service. We want to look at automation as a service. We feel that people will look at IT as a value partner that we can help with some of their processes. We're looking at a corporate-wide continuity plan that we can bring the technology component, they can bring the business component, and we can work well together to, just in case that we can continue of how we're going to progress as part of our continuity plans. As part of our people, we're going to continue to invest in our staff. We've renegotiated our contracts with Pluralsight. We've encouraged our staff to look at training. We've also looked at giving people some stretch assignments so that they have the opportunity to do something that maybe they weren't really interested at first but have a keen interest to do it. And obviously there's other work that we're doing with regards to the public Wi-Fi, the additional 26 sites in 2019. We're looking at next generation printing. Our contract comes to at the end of the year, so this is an opportunity for us to sign another long-term contract and have some of those new features that are available as part of the printing solution. We're looking at a MS Online rollout into 2019, as well as looking at a land management project launch in next year. So how are we going to do all this work that we've kind of identified? Part of it, too, as I mentioned earlier, is Pluralsight. We want to invest in our staff. Learning is a topic that is a top priority of my management and myself. This is a continuously learning and development of talent is going to be key for the City of Ottawa. Our investment in the world's leading technology training platform has provided our team with the same training tools that are offered to IT professionals in Silicon Valley. We realize that this training is just part of the components to get some of the certifications that we identified. We've identified 12 certifications that we're looking for our staff to qualify. These are standard tests that they'll need to complete. The Pluralsight will be a key component with it, but we're also going to augment it with other training or on-the-job training so they'll be successful in getting some of those certifications. And as you can see, we have a number of users that sign in. They go in there, they look at a number of different courses that they know relate either to the job that they currently do or that they see that we're going in the future and they want to be part of that excitement as we move forward. So for the budget. Our budgeting, operating budget summary, there's an increase of $2 million over 2018. That adjustment is for potential cost of living in 2019 increments and benefit adjustments. There's also increases annually with our maintenance contracts to support the network software as well as some of the hardware that I talked about of the work that we do in 2018 and will continue to do into 2019. Capital for the renewal of city assets, it's an $8.6 million budget. There's a laundry list of items, but I've highlighted some of the key ones. We're looking at a hybrid IT Azure migration. This is the implementation of the cloud infrastructure. So we put together our framework. Now we want to look at the infrastructure, the security, and the connectivity to the Microsoft Azure. We want to create the internal governance and support for cloud. We're looking at a public Wi-Fi next year with the deployment of public Wi-Fis to 26 sites. We have our hardware lifecycling upgrade to key infrastructure components that are considered end of life within the City of Ottawa data centers. We're looking at monitoring. We want to be more proactive, real-time monitoring of the network infrastructures and our software environments. We want early alerting and error detections capabilities so that we can be more proactive rather than reactive. We're looking at a replacement of our UCC contact center software solutions. This includes the migration of the 311 call line revenue as well as CSSD client groups. Thank you.
So questions on the presentation? Councillor DeRose, then Tierney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. We're really happy to hear that the continuity is there, and then we're keeping the platform and all our project going. I have a quick question on the 26th site that we keep talking about, the public Wi-Fi. Do we have a list for that committee, or that's something in the work that you guys are working on, or can we share those information? And is any of those sites are in rural Ottawa?
We do have the sites that have been identified for the 26th. Unfortunately, I don't have the full, complete list here, but we can provide that to you after the meeting.
That would be good. No problem.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Tierney.
Great. Thank you very much for that presentation. And I'm happy to see a lot of the stuff that has been problematic over the last 8 years I've been on council has been addressed, from operating systems to, again, I think it's a great investment in the SAP upgrades. That's going to pay a lot of dividends at the end of the day, and especially happy about SharePoint, because workflow, something I think that this corporation could benefit from. I also love the points about using COTS products, commercial off the shelf, because frankly we've got ourselves in the trouble in the past with customized software. What I didn't see in there, maybe I can get a little information on it. We're gearing up for a replacement for SIA. That's my understanding. Would that be through this budget, I'd have to assume, and where are we on that?
Mr. Chair, perhaps I can answer this question. Although that particular application is close to my heart, and I know all of yours, it would have been under one of the 180 plus business applications that are supported by our partners in IT. And so part of the funding is indeed for that replacement through IT, as well as through the city clerk and solicitor's budget, which will be before FEDCO on March the 5th.
Wonderful. So I'll save further questions on that. Every time I try to go on to it, it just stresses me out. I know it stresses us all out, and the sooner we can get that resolved, probably the better. When it comes to class, again, another product that is going the way of the dodo bird. Where are we going on class and its replacement? Is it budgeted in this budget?
Councillor Beverly Gibbs, Manager of Technology Solutions. The class replacement project is being led by our colleagues in Recreation Cultural Facility Services. We're at the beginning stages of looking at doing the proof of concept with a vendor of which we have an existing relationship with. So we're doing the planning right now for that. They own the budget for that. Once we go through the contract negotiations, then we'll move into the proof of concept and then the full implementation if all goes well. So that's scheduled for this year. Wonderful. And likely into next year, because it is quite a large system replacement.
So from a public's perspective, when would be the soonest that they could see, a better system for those registrations? Probably this time next year, I would assume?
I would think 2020 is a fair estimate for that.
Okay. The other thing, I'm not sure, and maybe this is up to the Treasurer to answer this question. We have a by-election in Rideau-Rockcliffe. I assume, I look at the budget set out for elections. Is it included, the costs that we're going to have to assume for that by-election? Is it in this budget, or is this something external?
It's not in the IT budget. It's actually in the FEDCO budget. There's $500,000 that we've allocated from the tax stabilization reserve to pay for the election in 2019.
And wonderful. So out of that reserve that will be put in place for that, is there I assume there's a transfer between departments to cover off the IT costs within their departments for software, for machines?
If there are any incremental costs for IT, but basically IT absorbs this. They don't actually get money from what used to be the elections reserve to pay for IT resources. We just basically last year set up a team, carved out capacity within the IT service area to support the election, and we will do the same in 2019.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Suds.
Thank you very much, excuse me, for that presentation, and as well, congratulations on a very well-attended IT showcase a few weeks back. It was great to see. A couple questions for you. The first around our investments and work with respect to cyber. Of course, this being, the thought of a breach being always top of mind and concerning. You mentioned training and refresh for city staff and understanding, staff is usually or often the first point of or easiest access point when these attacks are coming. How are we staying current? How are you staying current? How are your staff staying current? And do you have the resources that you need with respect to cyber specifically?
I'm going to ask the manager of security, Chris Fulton, to come up to give you a little bit more of the details of what we have in place.
Thanks.
Councillor Suds, yes, what we realize that people are a very, very critical piece in that protection chain. We've been doing a regular awareness campaign and pushing stuff out, but we realized that really for people to pay attention to it, we needed to make it a mandatory training program, similar to some of the stuff that's come out from HR and fraud and waste and whatnot. So we've procured a solution called Media Pro, which has very targeted cybersecurity messaging. We've been working on creating a course that's about a half hour in duration, and it's going to be targeted to all network users. Then after that, we have some very targeted courses to people who have elevated privileges within the organization.
Excellent. The second part of that question was, you have the resources to do what you need?
Yes, I believe we do. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and we also have a contract with an external vendor that helps with a lot of that initial investigation for us. That's built in, and then anything that they can't resolve, it goes down to our staff.
Okay. Terrific. My next question perhaps is more targeted to Donna's team, but it's around an earlier point that arose around the open data portal. And I'm just curious where we're at on this project and any technical challenges that are currently being worked through in order to get this out the door.
I can answer that question. We're currently, as you know, Council, we are required to be compliant with provincial legislation around accessibility, and as part and parcel of our work that we do around these types of platforms, we do an accessibility review. We had uncovered some compliance issues that we're working through now. It's part of a normal course of business. We do expect now to be in a position to release that portal as a beta by end of March, early April. We continue to release data sets on the existing platform as a result, but we now expect to be in a position to release shortly.
Terrific. Thank you. Maybe one last question. I'll try not to ask too many, or maybe two. There's been mention and discussion throughout your presentation of various emerging technologies, so AI being one, machine learning being another. I know there's projects underway, obviously with respect to the open data portal, chatbot. These are all really exciting and I think critical undertakings as a city as we evolve and we stay current. Are you confident, again, a budget question, but do you feel like you have the resources that you need in order to continue to stay current and press the envelope with these emerging technologies?
Thank you, Councillor. We have a branch for technology modernization in my area, and so we have that proof of concept. So a lot of the items you talked about with regards to machine learning, artificial intelligence, we have that group of individuals that do the research from a proof of concept perspective. They work closely with Bev Gillis's team with technology solutions to see if there's a match with some of our other clients that are looking for some of this requirement to meet some of their business needs. So to answer your question, I feel we have the right team in place. place. I think we have the right resources. We actually have very excited staff, maybe a little too excited to learn some of all this new stuff, and we have to realize that we have our day-to-day job as well. But overall, I think we have that excitement that's built in. Staff get really engaged looking at the new age items. They're very excited to learn that. And then we support them with regards to getting the feed from all the clients. Where is the demand kind of pent up? And then aligning those right teams where last year we had about 48 proof of concepts that we created. We're going to do about 25 this year to be a little bit more realistic, but I think we have the right team and the right resources to continue that into 2019.
Terrific. Last question. I mentioned earlier a recent announcement today around federal funding for autonomous vehicle technologies, and I know that the city has done some great work with respect to the AV test track and a few other smart city initiatives. I just wanted to touch base on where that's at, and again, from a budget perspective that we're discussing today, do we have the resources needed?
I can take that question, Councillor. We are working in partnerships with the Planning and Economic Development Department, with Transportation, with Invest Ottawa, and we're involved as well. We're looking at opportunities on the SIFTI side to test some of the digital technologies we expect to be rolling out in terms of pilots or POCs. I know the Transportation is also provided expertise and signage and traffic light technology that's hooked up to the Loretta Operations Center as well. I know that our Planning and Economic Development Department is also working through precision agriculture and how it can leverage the private test track that's built at the farm, etc. So I think from our perspective, we do have, I think, the partnership in place to execute on that, and I would venture to say that we have the resources required to support that program.
Terrific. Okay. Thank you.
All right. We actually have a delegation again for this, so we will bring him up. Matthew Darwin again.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair, to get my 2 cents in here.
That's 4 cents.
What's that?
That's 4 cents for today.
Oh, 4 cents, yeah, twice. One comment on the budget is sometimes I like to drill down into details on certain items, but the budget is very high level. At this committee last year and during the budget consultation process meeting in Canada North last year, I asked for more details on certain items, but I never actually managed to get them. So I'm wondering what is the proper process to drill down. So, for example, what's the average age of the networking gear or whatever. So if we're life cycling assets, that's important. We need to know we're up to date, but are we aligned with the actual industry practices in terms of where we are in life cycling assets? Maybe the budget is sufficient or not. I don't know.
All right. If you have specific questions, you could submit them to the committee coordinator, and he will get them to the right people.
Perfect. Thank you. During the IT vendor and Peer Connect, which was very good, thank you, Councillor Suds, for the invite. I heard a lot about the need to retire some old legacy applications. I'm wondering if we've allocated enough money to that process. If we get rid of old applications faster, that allows city staff to spend more time on innovative new projects, which I heard lots about today. So, are we spending the right amount of money on getting rid of the older applications as fast as possible? Obviously, getting rid of old stuff takes a lot of time, effort, money, etc. So it might require more budget sooner, which then would save money later. So just wanted to throw that out there as a consideration.
Thank you. That's a great question. We do have an IT system renewal program that we have where we do look on a regular basis the age and the platforms and looking at, do we want to replace it, do we want to continue to invest in those type of solutions, or do we want to migrate them into a new platform? So we do have those processes in place, and that's part of the budget that we're asking this year to continue that into 2019.
Thank you. Next, I heard lots about good strategic investment being ahead of the curve on SAP HANA, which is great. I'm wondering, does the city or this committee have a defined plan as to in which activities do we like to be ahead of the curve? Which activities do we like to be just where the rest of the crowd is, and where do we, it's fine, we're a bit behind, that's fine. So I didn't see any discussion about, where do we want to be on the investment level, because, these have big impacts on staffing, training, overall costs and perception to the public on where we are as a city.
Okay, well, under the rules, we're not supposed to get into a question and answer. But so if you can just lay out what your concerns and questions are, and then staff can respond at the end with whatever they're going to respond.
Yep, that's fine. And the other thing is, I had a great meeting with the previous CIO back this time last year. Good discussion, but there was a seeming lack of follow-up on a number of questions that I had. So again, I'm wondering, how do I get more information on an ongoing basis about what is the priorities, actions, how different programs are going within the city. I think if we have those quarterly meetings of this committee to receive the reports, that would definitely help in that regard. I also heard a lot of detail about or a lot of comments about agile development during the Vendor and Peer Connect, which is great. I think this is a great activity, having IT work on a pilot project, change it, work through it again, get feedback, rather than a long 2-year project, and at the end, it doesn't actually meet the customer's needs. So I'm really hoping that activities like the open data portal or other things that are going out to the public work in the same way. So it's not just agile within IT, but it's agile with the broader community, so that we get the early feedback from the public. So, it's great if IT is agile, but we need the actual entire corporation to be agile as well in order for that to work efficiently. Thank you. That's my comments.
All right, thank you. Does staff have any comments on that?
Thank you, Chair. With regards to where we are with either being an early adopter, early majority, or a little bit behind the curve, a lot of it has to do with where we work with our clients and we look at their particular applications. There are certain enterprise ones that we never want to be leading edge with regards to either SAP, payroll, etc. We do have a department within ITS that's our technology modernization group, and so in that area they do look at some of the newer items where we want to be early adopters, and we create that proof of concept idea, and then we marry up with one of our clients to have that partnership, because a lot of the work that we do obviously relates to a business need and a business requirement. And then with respect to your question about your follow-up with Saad last year, I'd be happy to follow up with you to provide you a little bit more detail on that after the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. All right, so we have the 2019 budget motion. So it's moved by Councillor Sutts. And it's that the Information Technology Subcommittee, ITSC, recommend that Council, sitting as Committee of the Whole, approve the ITSC portion of the 2019 draft operating capital budgets as follows. Number 1A, Information Technology Services Operating Resource Requirement, pages 3 to 4 of the ITSC budget book. And B, ITSC capital budget, page 5 of the ITSC budget book, individual projects listed on page 11. Discussion, questions? No?
Carried.
Carried? All right. So on next in-camera items, there are none. Notice of motion for consideration at subsequent meetings? No. Inquiries? Other business? Motion to adjourn? It's Councillor DeRuz. Carried. So we are adjourned. And Councillor Tierney will be sending out a tweet on behalf of the committee for Councillor Leeper.